Hello, Don here. Welcome to Podiatry Practice Mastery, where we're helping you get your practice to the $1 million mark and beyond. This is going to be my one-page report. I do this every month, both for my own personal accountability to everyone else. I think by making this short little audio, it helps me to be accountable to what I'm doing. It's also nice because sometimes doctors send me theirs. So if you have one, want to share the things that you're working on, you can certainly type it up and email it to me, don@podiatrypracticemastery.com. So I'm going to talk about things that I was working on in November, kind of any progress to the goals or meaningful experiences. And so the things I was working on in November, one was to set up a new review automation process to dominate local search. What happens is even if patients go to their insurance, they'll always, after the insurance, they'll kind of look online. And many times patients just use the word, I researched you, which pretty much just means I Googled you, and you had more reviews than anyone else. And that's how many of our patients come up. And that's why I wanted to focus on this. And we switched back to Swell. Now, I want to kind of go through the process. So we recently switched to ModMed, and they have a system called Clara, which I think is excellent for patient communication. But an app can't be great at everything. And this is something that it's taken me time to learn, because I wanted to go to use their app, which did reviews for us. But the process was a little convoluted, meaning it sent them a message out in the evening, and they couldn't see that message unless they confirmed their phone number. And it was kind of like HIPAA controlled, and then it asked them if they had a good experience, and if you said yes, then it would ask for a review. That, in my opinion, is too many steps, and I mentioned that to them. And our reviews went down from like 60 or 70 down to 20. And with one little change, we switched back to Swell, and it went up to 60 and 70 and probably 80, and now it'll keep going up. So this was where you have to be careful with little changes. They can really affect things in the office. Also, I'm focusing on our referral request for every patient. We recently made these referral request cards, and if you want to see mine, I would be happy to send you a link to it on Canva. But basically, it's saying, hey, if you had a good experience, send your friends and family to us. And I've been giving this out to patients every time they purchase orthotics, because they already get this like orthotic little bag, which includes like a water bottle, includes a pair of socks, and it includes these asking for referral cards, because we want more people like that. I'm also training staff. When patients say they have a good experience, I'll go out and just hand them one of these and say, hey, the best compliment we can have is you sending over more of your friends and family. And then the other thing I've been working on is improving my orthotic with Shockwave package. I'm finding there's really low resistance to Shockwave, and that's even at the like $1,500 mark. And I've thought of a couple ways of doing this, but if I just take orthotic or Shockwave, instead of say it's $1,500, I say it's $2,000, then I can just include a pair of orthotics in there. So it's a way to increase my orthotic number, and kind of, because patients, I feel like they prefer to pay for treatment, not so much for things like product. And that's what I'm seeing right now. So they many times don't believe maybe they don't believe the orthotic, they don't see the benefit, they just see the value. And so including that with the Shockwave is what I'm working on. And I'm also working on doing it by getting some coaching. I have a couple of friends that are really good at orthotics, and they're giving me some feedback, ways to explain it. And I've really found that as I'm trying to improve in orthotics, and I'll tell you the issue. So I'm doing maybe 15, 20 pairs of orthotics, maybe 15 to 18 pairs a month. I have friends that do 40, and I know probably people that do more than that. And I'm like, I don't think my practice is that much different than theirs. It's just that they are either they're taking more opportunity to teach, and I think that's what it is. Teaching about the mechanics of orthotics and why it's important, how their bunion functions, how hallux limitus functions, and how this can help them, and the conviction that they have. And I think the same conviction that I have with Shockwave that it works, they have this conviction that orthotics work. And I feel like it's a transference of confidence. And so that's kind of those are the three things I was working on. My KPIs for November were 107,000, so the goal is to be at 80. So this is 107. So I'm pretty much past the $1 million mark now, and I'm trying to see where I'm going to end for 2025. So what are some of the updates? I read a good book. Ben Hardy, I like a lot of his books. He has a couple of good books. One's called 10x is easier than 2x, and he has a new one that's called Time is a Tool. And it's kind of a neat concept. Every other chapter is a book chapter, and every other chapter is a podcast where he kind of talks about someone that's had the success with implementing the things that he's talking about. I really like that format. It includes kind of podcast along with the regular audiobook. So I've been listening to that, and really the main focus is making a big goal and then shrinking the time. So instead of a 10-year goal, make it a 3-year goal or a 1-year goal, and making it like a 10x goal, because when you make it a much bigger goal, it makes it much more challenging. So one of the goals that I'm working on is getting much more confident at offering, instead of having a $200 per patient, 10xing that to like $2,000 per patient. And that might be doing much higher packages or for patients, and not seeing other patients in the office, or not seeing them back. And so this is something that it really takes a certain skill to do this, and I've been kind of working on that. And so how do I do that? It's with offering packages. I've done a number of renditions. People, if you've listened for a while, I have something called treatment sheets, which basically offer everything that's available. And as I've been looking at it more and more, I think the treatment sheets are good, but they're a little bit overwhelming because of everything on the sheet. And so what I'm fixing it or moving it to now is something called a good, better, best model. And so basically, for example, it's the same thing I do. I just have it simplified into packages. So you have the good, better, and best. So good would be basically the same thing that insurance covers: night splints, foam rolling, morning stretch, anti-inflammatories. Better would be Shockwave and orthotics, which is that combo that I'm wanting to do along with the other things. And then best would be the Shockwave, laser, a athletic, and an everyday orthotic, which is 2 orthotics, and then also an amniotic injection. So making it that best offer, so it's going to go insurance covered or not that much, up to $2,000, which is the Shockwave with the orthotics, and then like $3,500 or so for the other offer. And so it takes a lot more skill and an ability to explain this to patients and have them choose, because some patients just always want the best, and when we have to have the confidence and ability to offer that. And so that's something that I'm working on, is focusing on simplifying this offer. And the way I figured it out, frankly, is there's a really good chatbot by Alex Harmozy on AI, and I was kind of feeding it into there, kind of working on the questions, working on like how I can set up this page, getting feedback on the page, how to make it a better page to explain. So really, it's simplicity of how to offer things to patients without making it complex or overwhelming with too many options. So that is the whole purpose. Another kind of update for the month was I lectured at AAPPM again. I think I give 3 or 4 lectures, somewhere to the new doctors about like compliance and billing stuff, which kind of was humbling because I realized I had to ask my office manager how to do it. So I guess I'm good at delegating. I wasn't as good at learning how to do those things. I really had fun was doing a marketing roundtable. So I got a lot of good ideas, and I talked about that in a previous podcast about my overview of the AAPPM. So it was a good meeting. It's always a good meeting. But my biggest takeaway was the importance of stacking treatments and using laser. So stacking treatments would be what I just talked about, doing Shockwave with laser, and then doing that with amnio, kind of stacking things on if people want to get better faster. So you can do the traditional route. Just know that it may take longer and it may not work, and you may have to go up the scale. But some people, they want to stack the treatments. That was kind of the main thing. And then adding laser. Laser is something that I have. I have a Remy. I just was never really using it for pain. And I found out when I'm doing Shockwave, I can just add it on, and it adds a level of, I guess, comfort after the Shockwave, because it heats up the tissue, and the way I'm kind of explaining it is that it kind of energizes the cells, kind of opens up the cells so they can work better. So that's what I've been doing now, is all Shockwave are getting laser, afterwards when I'm in one of my offices. I'm trying to get a second laser so I can use it for pain. Someone approached me. I tend to get approached by a lot of people who want me to try this new laser, so they wanted to give me a laser to try it, so I'm going to try it because I really don't want to buy another laser, but I would like to have it available in both offices. One thing I'm tempted about is using AI as a scribe. I'm tempted because I think it would be something that would be good to do, but I'm a little concerned about my scribe actually being concerned about his job security. But not just that, is I don't know if I want to be the guinea pig for like training the AI, because right now my scribe works so well. Now I understand he costs me a lot of money, but really for the quality of life, I think it really works well. So I think I'm deciding not to do that. I've recently started a company. They reached out to me. Once again, they were wanting to take these audios that I'm doing like today, and they're putting them into Instagram, kind of with the audio in the background, with some video called B-roll, which is video, to kind of increase that Instagram, and then we're doing $250 in AdWords to get people more interested and to go to Podiatry Practice Mastery to get my $1 million practice blueprint. So I'm doing this with them to see if I can expand the reach, because I want to coach 100 doctors in a coaching program that's asynchronistic. And I think one of the drawbacks for a lot of us doing coaching, and I won't even say for me to do coaching, is that we have to have time out of the office. And I see the benefit of having time out of the office. I really do. But I don't want to do early morning, and I don't want to do late night. I would only want to work with doctors that want to meet with me at like my time from like 8 to 9 in the morning. And I'm not sure how many of those that'll exist. Really, that I mean, there might be some. So what my thought is doing something kind of asynchronistically, and I'm sure there's a really good coaching app that you can do this asynchronistically with a larger group. I've been doing it with like WhatsApp, but I think there's some better tools out there now, and that's kind of what I'm investigating to see. Well, how can I help more doctors? So basically, it's the same way you would listen to a book on your own, and then or take a class on your own, have a book, and then have some like homework of things to do. Kind of meeting with doctors. I can record like when I want to record, let's say from 8 to 9, and then they can listen whenever they want to listen. Then they just do their accountability homework and their tracking for the practice. I think this could really help, and I think it's kind of a revolutionary way that no one is doing this type of coaching. And I think it would be a way you could help a lot more people. You can do like a community type of thing. You could do like a Zoom call with everyone together once in a while. You could do asynchronistic conversations to help people out, to give tips. You could go over certain focuses. And so the focus is kind of like having like a 12-week intensive called the $1 Million Podiatrist, helping practices get to the $1 million mark. And then after that, then it could kind of roll into a kind of a mastermind, like an asynchronistic mastermind, which there are a couple of ones that are around here. I'm not sure of the price point. I want it to be a lot, so it's kind of worth the time. But I also want it to be something that people are going to get like 10x the value from that. And I think it's pretty easy. Like, let's say it was $1,000 a month. If you could increase your revenue by $10,000 a month just with some of these techniques, like maybe these coaching, these sales techniques, or these communication techniques with patients, I think just in and of itself, using the stuff that you actually have better, I think it would be worth that for doctors. So that's something that I've been working on. If you are interested, shoot me an email. Don at podiatrypracticemastery.com. I'd like to do this with about 100 doctors. I don't think that's too hard, but I'm trying to work on the kind of technology aspect of it. If you have any tips on how to do that, let me know. So that's kind of my goal for 2026 January, getting comfortable with asking for $3,000 packages, using this referral request card more, and then getting my first 100 doctors within 90 days to do this asynchronistic coaching. So I'm looking for the method of doing that to make it like excellent for doctors to do and really see the benefit in their practice. I guess my main concern, frankly, is how I can incentivize progress and actually doing the things that are talked about. So what I mean by that is the biggest challenge with coaching, biggest challenge even with me, is I'm given things to do and there's really no incentive to do it. And so as I've been looking at Alex Hormozi, he's got a lot of these nice things of like these incentives. So basically, for example, let's say the coaching is $2,000, okay? But if you do everything that's required, it goes down to like $500 if you do the stuff that's required. So it kind of makes people get results. That's kind of that's the type of coaching that I like. It's a coaching that gives you kind of implied accountability and it kind of makes people do the thing, and they'll actually get better results too by doing it. So anyway, those are the things that I'm working on. If you are interested, shoot me an email, or if you have any other thoughts, you want to send me your one-page report, let me know. Okay, Don at podiatrypracticemastery.com. Once again, it's always a pleasure.